All right, welcome to another episode of Asset Creators, episode 21. Today, we're going to be chatting about what is the content sweet spot for magnetizing clients. I'm going to go into what it actually is. I'm going to define it. I'm going to tell you what it is not and how you can actually use it, the benefits of using and finding the sweet spot to actually start bringing clients to you with your content, right? And not just getting some likes, getting some engagement, but no actual business results. So with that being said, we'll just get right into the good stuff. So first, like I kind of mentioned, I want to talk about what the content sweet spot is not. It'll help you get more clarity around what we're actually talking about. Now, this sweet spot is not found or created by writing about viral topics that you know nothing about. Now, there's a little caveat there. You can write about viral topics when you're in the sweet spot, okay? But typically, if you know nothing about a viral topic, that is not going to be you operating in the sweet spot. The next one, chasing trends that are irrelevant to your target audience. So you can think about the viral topics, kind of trends as a subset of that, right? And you want to be thinking about how can we actually write content that is relevant to our target audience. So that's when you're in the sweet spot, right? So when you're not in the sweet spot, you're going to be chasing trends that are just irrelevant to who you're actually trying to help, typically chasing, engagement and things like that. And the final one is sharing hacks that you don't actually use. So you might see a cool like AI hack or a cool hack about, something online that's just something you don't actually do yourself. And you might think, oh, this is going to get engagement. This is going to maybe go viral or all these things, but you don't actually do it yourself, right? And that's not going to be you operating in this sweet spot. So those are like descriptors of what it is not. Let me just lock the page. So those are what the sweet spot is not. Now, let's talk about what the content sweet spot actually is. And in a nutshell, in one sentence, it is the intersection between your target audience's pains and struggles and your competencies, right? What you're actually really good at, what you're not just credible, but actually good at and knowledgeable at sharing, teaching, helping people with, and it needs to be, relevant and actually useful for your target audience. So the easiest way to find your own sweet spot is number one, start by getting clear on the specific problems your target clients are facing. Now, I know this is marketing 101, but it's so easy to forget this when you're caught up trying to, run your business solo, right? And you're creating content and you're doing all these things. Sometimes it's easy to forget just the basics, the fundamentals about just getting clear on the problems that you're actually solving and that your target clients have, right? So that's the first step, is just getting really, really clear on that. Step two is going to be looking at all the things that you could talk about, right? And then narrow them down strictly to what you are genuinely great at and the most knowledgeable about, okay? So you want to look at all the things that you could potentially talk about, right? And then make sure that you can narrow these down to what you're actually great at. So for example, my expertise is in marketing and client acquisition, right? And that's obviously relevant to my business. But so I'm not going to write about how to get a six-pack, right? Or give investing advice or something like that. First of all, my target audience would be very confused, or the audience I built, my email list and everything would be very confused why I'm doing a piece of content on how to get a six-pack. But also, it's not going to be something that I'm genuinely great at in terms of something I know I can help people with and I know that I'm like really, really good at. And then the third one is what you're going to do is find the intersection, which would be the sweet spot, right? So once you find this intersection, it is the overlap between what your audience struggles with and the specific solutions that you're capable of providing. This is like the big takeaway that I want you to get from this episode here is this sweet spot is like, okay, let's look at what are the people I help with struggling, right? Of course, your offer is going to be around the big burning problem, right? That's what your offer is going to solve. But there's going to be also little struggles that they have, pains, problems, right? And you want to look at all of those things, have them very clearly identified in your mind, And then also you want to look at, okay, which of those can I solve? Because something to like remember, which is also kind of funny to talk about, is your target audience are humans, right? And the reason it's kind of funny to talk about is we all know that. We all know that everyone's a human. So they're going to have other problems, right? So they might have a weight problem. They might have some investing or financial problems, right? But like if I can't solve those for them, or that's not something that I'm very confident and knowledgeable in, then I'm not going to start creating content around that, right? And so when you find their struggles, and then you can find out what you're really competent in, right? Competent is the key word here. Well, then all you have to do is just intersect those two. So now your content is going to be helpful to them, but it's also going to be around your competencies and your offer and what you actually do, right? And so there's a little image here that can help drive this concept home. But really is the intersection is between the audience's struggles and then your competencies. Very, very important, right? So once again, an example, like my expertise is in marketing and client acquisition. So would it really make sense for me to be creating a bunch of content randomly about fitness or like finance, right? If it's outside your expertise. So if you're watching this and your expertise is in finance, well, then obviously you want to go around that and find what your audience's struggles are with finance, right? And then that's the sweet spot. That's how you find it. You want to make sure that these are things that your solutions that you're equipped to provide, right? And you're going to see why this is so important when I talk about the benefits here. So one of the biggest benefits is just confidence, right? Like you're going to feel so much more confident in your content when you're on video or writing content, whatever you're doing, when you create content around the areas where you hold the most competency, right? You're going to naturally speak with confidence and conviction. It's going to be very obvious. It's going to be very believable, persuasive when you're creating around your area of expertise, right? Just naturally, that's going to happen. The next one is you're going to attract the right clients, right? Because you got to think of the way that I like to think about content, and I use this analogy for most of my clients, is it's like a lighthouse, right? So imagine that your target audience, right, is stuck at sea and it's a storm and the waves are crashing and it's dark out, right? It's nighttime. And that's how they are, right? They're struggling with something, and ideally the things that you help with, right? So they're at sea, there's a storm, they're struggling, it's crazy. And then they can see in the distance a lighthouse, and it's a beacon of hope, right? And that lighthouse is going to magnetize them to it because it signifies safety, land, the solution to their storm, right? And so your content, of course, your offer is going to do this, and you are going to do this, but your content, you want it to do that as well, right? And so when you write from your sweet spot, you're going to actually do this for them, right? You're going to be that lighthouse. Your content's going to be that thing where they're like, holy, Darian can help me with this, or whoever's watching this, like, this person can help me with this. And you're going to be that lighthouse that's going to signify safety and land and the solution to their problem. And that's why it's so important to write around this sweet spot. And this episode was just inspired from a call I did yesterday with a couple solopreneurs. And we were talking about this, and they were asking me, how do I make sure that I'm feeling confident about what I write around? And, I told them, like, this, you need to find this sweet spot where it's something they actually care about. Because once again, like, for me, I love hiking, right? That's something I really enjoy. I live out in the forest. So it's something that, I'm truly, you could say, competent in, right? I know how to be safe out there and all of these things, right? Or even like basketball. I love basketball, right? And I'm fairly competent in playing it as well. But I'm not going to go and start creating content around like how to shoot a better jump shot in basketball or whatever, because has nothing to do with my business, and it's irrelevant to what my target audience cares about. So that's why the sweet spot's so important. This was inspired from that conversation, and just something that we all can naturally lose sight of very quickly, very easily. It's very easy to forget the basics of like, hey, what is my target audience actually struggling with? What are their pains, their struggles? And then what can I actually truthfully and confidently help them with, right? What am I competent in? And this will help you just change your approach to content again. And sometimes, even though we might know these things, it's easy to kind of lose sight of the fundamentals and stray away from it. So I really wanted to cover that today because I thought it was really important. And on the call, she asked me a really, really good question around this. And so that was going to be my answer for it. So with that being said, that is it for episode 21. Thanks so much for being here. Hopefully after watching this will re-spark something in you to make sure that you're operating from, you're creating content from this sweet spot, right? In this place where you feel truly confident, comfortable, and the best place to create content from is this, to magnetize, attract the right people, be that lighthouse that I talked about. So with that being said, that's it for today, and I will see you in the next episode.